Welcome back to another camera channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the companion app from ARRI. For those of you who don't know, just before NAB, we purchased an Alexa Mini. And then when we came back from NAB, ARRI announced their companion app, which was very good timing, I think, in our case. We buy this legendary older camera, and then suddenly there's this new way to control it. From what I've read, the app has been in development for around 2 years, or it's been in a beta stage for 2 years, an open beta, and it is now released in its full version. And there are some mixed reviews about the launch, mainly down to the subscription model. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But first, the app currently only exists on iOS devices, so the iPhone, the iPad, and also Apple Silicon. So your Mac Minis and your MacBooks, all those kind of new generations. Although it is technically still an iPad app, for what I've seen in the App Store, it does say this is just an iPad app. But you can run those on Apple Silicon if you didn't know, and then you get the benefit of having a nice physical keyboard and also access to some more physical controls, which we'll go over a little bit later on. Basically, what you're getting is a grid here on the screen, and they've basically mapped some of the functions onto buttons that you can press. Why would that be a good idea? Well, if you've ever seen the ARRI menu, some of the things that you might want to change quite quickly could be hidden away under multiple clicks. And this will just give you a quick way of accessing those settings. The layout is customizable, and you can add and remove your buttons as you wish. There's plenty of options right here. And aside from buttons, it does give you a nice way of reading some information about what the camera is doing or what kind of mode it's in, your frame rate or sensor mode, what kind of recording codec it's in, things of that nature. And of course, things like shutter speed, EI, ND, and your white balance. If you are using a compatible ARRI lens, which sends lens data, you will get the focus, iris, and focal length information displayed at the bottom here. And what's really cool, as you can see with this combination of the Alexa 35 and the signature zoom here, as I'm turning the iris and the zoom and the focus, all that information is updating in the app in real time. And if you're using any older ARRI lenses like the Ultra Primes or any third-party lenses which don't pass any electronic lens data to the camera, this will just be displayed as a bunch of dashed lines. And that goes for any kind of information that the camera doesn't know about. Like, for example, my Alexa Mini, it doesn't have any kind of battery percentage information. So that's just a bunch of dashed lines, and there's no textures in the camera, so that's also a bunch of dashed lines. So those kind of things, I could change the layout and remove those. But for just this video, I haven't done that. This is just the default layout, and this is the exact layout you will see if you've just installed the app. So on the iPad here, I have the demo version of the app running, which is completely free to use. But what you will notice is that a lot of the information, although it is displayed, you cannot interact with it. And that is indicated by the little circle with a line through it icon in the top right corner. So stuff like SDI, stuff I can't change or interact with. I can't do playback. I can't change the look or resolution via this kind of menu system that they have, these buttons. However, you do have access to the web remote, and that acts exactly like you would see on your ARRI camera. It is an exact representation of what is on the screen here. If I bring the camera up here, it's out of focus, but you can kind of see it's the same thing. What's nice is because we are using an iPad and an iPad is touchscreen, it is very quick to touch and navigate through the menus. And you also get access to all of the more in-depth menus that you would on the camera as well. So that is nice because that is what you get in the free version. You're not limited in that way. You're only kind of limited in the access of these kind of more handy grid-like buttons that you get on this interface. So the things you can change in the demo version are your ISO or EI, your ND, your white balance, which is a very nice scrolly wheel thing, interface kind of thing here. And you do have your kind of presets down here, which you can also modify. And you do get access to the camera user button 1, whatever you've set that to. I've set mine to ND increase. You get a physical button for that as well. And you also do have access to record, which is usually locked, and that's done by just holding your finger on a button, and that will stop you from inadvertently starting or stopping recording. So I can just hit that off there, and boom, I'm recording a clip right now. And because it's a demo version, you don't get access to changing the layout of the buttons here. So you do have to pay a subscription to change this layout. But if you're only wanting to like start and stop record, change ISO, white balance, NDs, this is pretty good. It's better than nothing. So I think it's not bad for a free app. In the second tier of the app, you get access to using 2 cameras at the same time. You get to change the layout of the app buttons, and you also have access to all the app buttons as well. So now, instead of, let's say, scene and take, which was locked on the demo version, I can click that now and input user metadata like scene, take, all that kind of stuff on the fly very, very simply. Of course, that stuff is still accessible in the web remote, but of course, that's way quicker to input that information through the app as it's just a few clicks. You also get something called the app user button, and in customization, you can change what that does, and you have loads of options of what that could actually do. And you can add unlimited user buttons in the interface. So if you really wanted to, you could make a layout with a ton of these app user buttons and map every single function to that layout, which is pretty amazing if you really wanted to spend the time doing that. However, I think the layout that they've already made is pretty good as it is. But obviously, I think for me, I'm gonna have to remove some of those features that my camera doesn't work with. So like battery percentage, things like that. I think that those would be good to change. It was also interesting on with my camera, because it's older, I don't get the chance to change the codec or the resolution from this app. But if you are using a newer camera like the Alexa 35, you do have that functionality, which is nice. And it will also restart your camera. It will automatically reconnect. There is a core function called the frame grab, which will show whatever your camera will see. It's not as advanced as what like the Sony app is. So we're not getting like a live view, a live readout, but it will show you a frame. And because I don't have a lens on the camera right now, it's just a black frame. Another thing I like is that you can change your LUTs very easily, and that also works with the look library. If you have that installed on your camera, then you can scroll through and pick any of the looks. Now, there's an even higher subscription model, the premium one, and that's going to give you access to unlimited cameras at the same time, and also some cool things like MIDI controls. So if you have a physical control device like this, you can map certain functions to knobs or sliders. Unfortunately, with this one, I can't get the bottom buttons here to work. They say that this is a note and it needs to be a CC or something like that. These buttons up here work, but none of these at the bottom. So I think maybe this just control surface isn't great for the ARRI app, or maybe they will add that functionality later on. This is very good with my Mix Pre 6 Mark II, but not so much for this app, unfortunately. In a launch video, they do show a Stream Deck being used. So I guess there's a way of mapping some of the functions to a Stream Deck. So this is going to be very nice for DITs or big shows where there's lots of stuff going on and you need to just map stuff to a touch of a button. I did have a little test with the MIDI controls, and it is very cool because it is possible to trigger all the cameras to record, or certain cameras to record at the same time with just the press of a button, which is super cool. And I guess one of the cool things is using like knobs and sliders to control things like ND or white balance. Gives you kind of that fine granular control. Although with my interface, it's a little bit strange. It's not perfect. It does seem to change values differently depending on how fast I'm turning on a knob, which is different, which is strange. So I think maybe my control interface isn't the best one to use. But if you look at the launch video, they do have a couple of examples of control surfaces that they recommend. Another one of the premium features that you get is you get to make tabs on the app. So you can have your main page with multiple cameras, and then you can have a tab for each camera if you want, or you can customize it completely depending on what you need. And probably the coolest premium feature is that you get to control the C-Force motors via the app. So this is very cool if you're using a MIDI controller. As demonstrated in the launch video, you can turn a knob and you can change like the iris or focus or things like that. So that's very cool. I don't have any C-Force motors on hand to test that out with, but you can watch the launch video and you can see that in action. So what are my thoughts about the app? Well, it is extremely easy to use. All you need to do is connect to your camera via the Wi-Fi network, either in host mode, if you are connecting directly to that one camera, and make sure that CAP, the camera access protocol, is turned on. Or if you want to access multiple cameras at the same time, the easiest way is just connect them to a router, a wireless router, or use the Ethernet cable ports at the back, and then just access that network and turn on the Bonjour setting inside the app, and it will automatically find those cameras for you. So a lot of people are complaining about the price because it's a subscription and they feel that the app should be free. Yeah, we have the Sony app, which is free, and that has a ton of features, including like live views, live monitoring of like 4 different cameras at the same time. So yeah, it would be very nice if this app was free. One thing I have noticed though is that I have my phone, this iPad, and also my MacBook all running off the same license, of the same subscription model, which is interesting. So hopefully ARRI don't change this. They don't work out a way to see how many times the app has been used at the same time. Like kind of like how YouTube Music knows that your account's being used on multiple devices at the same time. Hopefully ARRI don't change this. But at the moment, currently, as I'm making this video, if you have a subscription and you have that same Apple ID installed on those devices, you can use all those devices at the same time. So maybe if you're a rental company and you have a Apple ID that you've installed maybe on some iPads, some small iPad minis or Airs, you could buy this license and have it installed on all those iPads and then send out an iPad with each camera, if you wanted to. I'm not saying that's a great idea, but at the moment, to me, that is a way of not having to have so many licenses. You can just get one license and then have it on all your devices at the same time. Now, I have seen comments under, I think, the main ARRI video of people calling for, why isn't it not like a camera-based license? Like, I would rather have the license attached to the camera instead of the app. But I think that's bad because the way it's working at the moment, if you are an AC or a DIT, for example, and that's where the premium license is kind of targeted to, like DITs and things like that, yes, you are paying the subscription fee, but you can access any kind of camera. So then it doesn't have to be your camera. It doesn't have to be the exact same camera from the rental company every time. It will be any camera that you ever come across. So I think that's very nice. I feel a camera-based license system would be more of a negative, but maybe I'm wrong. Please feel free to educate me in the comments what you feel about this issue. But at the moment, we don't have a choice. It is either the free version of the app or the paid version of the app. Maybe in the future they will change that. But currently, at the moment, if you want to get the most out of the app, you do have to pay for one of the subscriptions. But overall, I think I'm going to be making use of this app. Actually, even the demo version is good enough for me, to be honest. I don't know, maybe this is very outdated information, but like I read things like if you want to put the Mini on like a gimbal and every time you want to change settings, you'd have to plug in the EVF every time. Maybe in the past it was a bit harder. I'm not really sure because I'm a new Alexa Mini user. Yeah, so let me know what it was like to use an Alexa Mini before. I did hear there was something called a Bitbox, or there is something called a Bitbox, or a Sputnik, or a UG LAN 900. I'm not sure what those things are completely. I did find what a Bitbox was. It looks like this. But I have also heard that a lot of ACs control the camera with like a Hi5 or WC U4 handset. You can access a lot of the camera menu through there. So yeah, as a new Mini user, I think this is going to be fun to use and very useful. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. It does seem like a little bit of a sensitive issue, especially because of the subscription model. But yeah, that is my video about the ARRI Companion app. Is it good? Is it bad? You guys let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much to ARRI Career for lending me the Alexa 35 and the very nice signature zoom for this demonstration video. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more content just like this. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.